Hello, I am Joey Metzger, and welcome to the world of Running Behind. My guest today is Alex Baker. Alex met Amanda when they were both in college. They got married, and after years of trying, they finally had a child. Tragically, though, when their child was still a toddler, Amanda was diagnosed with cancer and lost her battle to that relentless disease 16 months later. In this powerful and emotional conversation, Alex walks us down that path of pain and loss, but also through the transformational journey of change and hope that happens afterwards. With the rallying cry of never moving on, but always moving forward, Alex takes back control of his health, his life, and takes the fight to cancer. So, lace up those Brooks glycerins and grab some tissue because you're gonna need it. But it's time to meet Alex, and it's time to hit the trail. Anyways, dude, man, you are popular. I know you pinged me a while back, and I was like, okay, sure, yeah, I'll get you on the podcast, and I've been busy, and I don't do a ton of these. And like I told you, I'm like, I wish I had a bigger audience for you. I have like 55 people, but...
That's amazing, though.
Yeah, it's fun. I just do it for fun. I'm not sponsored. No aspirations of doing that. I got a full-time job and everything. But then, I started looking into your story, and then you were on with my buddies on the Everyday Athlete podcast network. I think was it Jason that interviewed you?
It was Jason, yep.
Yeah. And I listened to that. I'm like, yeah, that's right. We got to connect. I got to get this guy on. So yeah. I am glad to have you on. I think we'll just start. I think this will just be real casual. Today, I've got Alex Baker, and we met through Instagram. I think I started my podcast, and pretty early on, you friended me, and then you reached out and you said, hey, if you ever need a guest, I've got quite the story. It is quite the story and very powerful, and you probably haven't listened to any of my episodes, but Alex, I cry very easily, and so I can't promise to keep a dry eye today because I know we're going to go through some kind of heavy stuff in your story and Amanda's story. But yeah, so I just got busy, and then I saw your interview with Everyday Athlete, and I listened to you did. Was that gentleman from Norway? You did the marathon podcast? Yeah,
correct. Yep,
that was really interesting. Especially it was interesting when you were explaining the American healthcare system. I'm like, duh, of course it costs about $1 billion to get, healthcare around here. Couldn't quite understand that because everything's free there. Hello.
Yeah, must be nice.
But so listen to your podcast. And then do I understand, did you used to have your own, or do you have your own podcast you do?
I don't. I've been on, I was on one like 2 years ago, and more recently I'm kind of making some rounds and reaching out and just building a running community. So,
got it. So my guest today is Alex Baker. He has quite the story. It's very inspiring. We'll get through all of that. And Alex, I think we'll start with, you probably haven't listened to my podcast, which is fine. Like I said, I've got about 55 very loyal listeners who are going to love your story.
I listened to 2 episodes today.
You did? Which ones did you listen to?
The most recent 2.
With Julie Anding?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. She was awesome. And I did have, I don't know if you know Tim Tollefson, because everybody, he's a Roadrunner guy, but we love Roadrunners too. I had Tim Tollefson on. That was my most famous guest. But so I start all these with a couple of icebreaker questions, just right out of the gate. Alex, give me one word that describes you as a runner. Alex, the runner.
I'm gonna say grit.
Grit. I like it. Very nice. Grit. Okay. Alex, the person. What is one word that describes Alex Baker, the person?
Thoughtful.
Thoughtful. Very nice. I haven't gotten that one yet. I like it. And then, sometimes I ask my guests why are they on the podcast? I think people are going to find out why. So let's tell them why as we go through. I think it's going to be a great story. I want to start, Alex, at the, if you've listened to a couple of my podcasts, I am not an athletic guy. I don't think I could get through the 6 marathon or however many marathons you've done so far. I know you haven't done all the majors, but as a youth, I did nothing. I was a nerd. I was a Lego. I was a Star Wars guy. I was telling somebody the other day, a lot of people had like Farrah Fawcett posters on their bedroom wall. I had a poster of the Pirates of Penzance with Linda Ronstadt. So, I was not your normal sporty kind of kid. What did you do? You grew up in the Midwest, right? Where'd you grow up?
Did.
And what'd you do for athletics as a kid?
Yeah, so I grew up outside of Rockford, Illinois. So kind of
yes.
Pretty close to the Wisconsin
I've driven through
border.
that about 100 times on my way to Chicago and Syracuse.
Yep.
And
Very nice. So as a kid, very little, played Little League, and then did basketball in middle school, and then started getting into Taekwondo a little bit. I'd had some... the word I think we should most appropriately use is bullies. Just some people who were just really very unkind children, and so I struggled a lot. Was bullied a lot, and so my parents put me in Taekwondo. I did that for 2.5 or 3 years before we moved, and we moved to Indianapolis area, kind of on the east side. And then I stopped. Like, that was the end of my athletic journey when I moved at 15 years old. That was it.
Okay.
So.
And then when you went to college, and did you go to college in Chicago or, okay.
I went in Indianapolis at what was then called Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis, the longest Division I school name. Fun fact, it was a Jeopardy question. But I went to study 3D animation and then decided that was too much. And so my professor said, like, I wanted to work for Pixar. And so my professor said a 22-hour day was like a standard, and I was like hard out. So I shifted a little bit into computer science, and similarly, I'm a nerd as well, right? I've appreciated technology, built my first website in 99. Like,
wow.
I've been around the tech space for quite some time.
Very nice. I love it. Fellow nerd guys. I love it. Were you ever on the physics team? That was my claim to fame in high school, the physics team. I built a bridge that got to third place at the state finals where they put bricks on it until it crushes.
Yeah, and you were in debate as well. I heard that.
I was.
Yeah.
I was on the debate team. I had, the guys from Everyday Athlete Podcast Network. I was on with Joe Harden recently. He interviewed me. I had him on, and now I was his guest last week. And found out he was a debater too. I'm like, you don't hear about people doing the debate team a lot. So I was like pretty impressed to find another fellow debater.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you go to college, you start out wanting to do animation, which is very cool. I love that. And then what did you switch to after that, Alex, then?
Computer science.
Computer science?
At that time, like, I'd been building websites. I'd already had a full-time job basically while I was in college doing graphic design, and then the CEO of the company said, I need you to make my website pretty, and so you can do some of that. And so I started learning how to do software development through that group, and then so it was a very easy like transition. I was already 2 to 3 years into a career at that point in computer science, and just pivot a little bit, and there you are.
Nice. And are you working out? What's your athletic life during this time? Not running? Are you working out?
No, nothing. Legitimately nothing. There was a brief time before my wife and I got married that tried to get the body for the wedding, and
the wedding body,
kind of
the wedding body.
Right. Yeah, but that was short-lived, but generally no athletic anything.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I've told this story. I didn't do shit till I was like 40. I turned 40, kind of went through a divorce, and I was like, I got to do something because I like eating pizza and having a beer or two, and this is just not working. I think when I hit like 30, like instantly my metabolism switched overnight. Like literally overnight, I was like, what is that? That's a belly. What is going on?
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that a lot of this revolves around Amanda. I want you to tell the story. tell from the beginning. Tell as much or as little as you want, Alex, but
Yeah.
I know the story. I've listened to your story. We've exchanged messages. I'm like, but my listeners have not. And I want you, if you're willing, to start from the beginning. How did you
Sure.
and Amanda meet? Was it in college, after college? Where'd you meet? How did you meet? When does
Yeah.
the story start?
Yeah, so we met in college. There was a debate for quite some time of exactly like what thing was the thing where we met. We were both very involved in our respective organizations. So we were both members of Greek Life. She was the president of the Student Activities Board. And so she basically that group was given a ton of money from the university to plan events, host concerts, bring like a community to the campus. We were a commuter campus. So, the 18 to 22-year-olds were basically, class car was the way they used to describe it. And so they were trying to build a community. And so they spent a lot of time with that, and being a fraternity man, we were just being involved on campus. A lot of my, once I moved, when I stopped doing athletics, I filled that time getting involved. So it was like student council, prom committee, like all of those kind of things. And so very similarly in college, had that same desire to give back and to just be part of a community that way as well. So, we think what happened was we were volunteering at an event. We crossed paths. We said hi, whatever. I had a crush on this woman very, very quickly after meeting her. We were both in separate relationships, but it was one of those like sparks,
Yeah.
And so fast forward 3 years. I was, we'd like see each other a couple of times, cross paths. She was a couple of years older than me, and but not much, right? 2 years in college isn't anything. And then for my 22nd birthday, I had gotten out of a relationship. She was single at the time, and she messaged me on AOL Instant Messenger. I'm sure you remember that. How fantastic
my God,
that was.
Alex. We're dating ourselves.
Oh, that's fine. I'm good with it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I'm 41 now. Just get it out there.
Well, you got some catching up to me, but you're still young in my eyes. So she messaged you on AOL Messenger. Did she know that you had that relationship was over, or was it just coincidence that she messaged you?
It was a happy birthday.
Oh.
It's just Facebook had just gotten to our campus, right? And so she saw it was my birthday, and she sent me a message. It was like, hey, if you want to come out, we're going out to this place and that place tonight. Love to see you, whatever. And so she came out and met up with us. One or two of her friends came with. Cool, whatever. We hung out. We went to a restaurant afterward, like late night restaurant. The post bar food.
Yeah.
And then she just started hanging around more, and it just was kind of like everything was lining up, vibing, right, as the kids say these days. And here in Indy, there's this bar called the Vogue, which had an 80s retro night on every Wednesday. And so the night before Thanksgiving is a big going out night. Yep. So she met us there. We were there at opening and we're in line, and I let her cut me in line. And she would tell the story, that was the day, that was the night, that was the thing. He let me cut him in line.
That was the first date. That was when it began. That was the beginning.
That was it. That was it. And so we went on an official date, just her and I, a week or two later. And from then we were just off to the races. We very quickly in love, very quickly. Within a year, we're engaged. Within the next year, we're married. I was 24 when we got married, and just a wild adventure from then on.
Yeah. And I know you have one kid.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big part of the story.
He is a big part of the story.
When did you have him? How long after you got married? What was
Yeah,
that
so
journey
that
like?
was kind of a wild journey too. We were ready for kids pretty quick. We decided we took maybe 2 years to ourselves, and then decided like, all right, let's start trying to have kids. And we tried and we tried and we tried, and it was very weird. Like, why is this not happening? And so after a bit, she asked her doctor about it, and she's like, okay, well, I need you to track your cycles and time this and do that. And like, okay, cool. And then come see me in a year, and we'll talk if you're not pregnant by then. Year goes by, nothing. It's weird. So then they're like, okay, well, have you been timing in? She showed the calendar or whatever she had, the app, whatever it was. And they're like, okay, well, I think we need to start fertility treatments and go through that. And here's what I want you to do. It was kind of fertility light, like just kind of try this, and we're going to give you this medicine on the regular, and then we'll do this thing. So it was another 6 to 8 months or so of that process.
Wow.
And still nothing. And then, okay, we got to take it to the next level, right? And she started having some pretty painful periods during this time. And so that, that was weird. And so the doctors were investigating. She had something called endometriosis, which is basically like scar tissue on the ovaries. And so it made made periods very painful for her. And so we ended up she had a surgery to remove the endometriosis. And then ultimately, after several months of, you go do the shots, you do the ultrasounds, you do this, right? And examine and check all of these things. And eventually we got moved up to something called IUI, which is intrauterine insemination. Basically, lack of a better term, like turkey baster is kind of what.
So it really is. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. At least where we were, IVF is like the next level.
Okay. I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah. So IUI is kind of like the precursor to IVF,
Got it.
and so. You go into a little room, you do a little business. You then have to hold it, and then
you're making that sound so romantic, Alex.
It's so
My
romantic,
God.
so good. And then they, take it and do their thing. And luckily, after a third attempt, it worked, and we got pregnant.
Wow.
And we got the news, and we were so excited. We were at my business partner at the time's at his wedding, and she took the pregnancy test, and it was positive. And like, this was this amazing. It had been 3 years of this journey of just trying to get pregnant.
3 years, and she took the pregnancy test at the wedding.
In like during the reception, like
during the reception.
Sorry, let me try that again.
No.
Like between the wedding and the reception, right? The
Got
like
it.
cocktail hour kind of thing
Yep.
area. Yeah.
Love love it.
Went back to the room and got that news. So
wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I share that because I don't think often men talk about the fertility experience, and just it's what we thought was going to be the thing, right? It's the battle of our marriage that we would have to get through and move on. And so
3 years, that's a long time. And I got to imagine it was very expensive. My wife and I, we don't have kids. Neither of us had kids from our prior marriage either. We have Cocker Spaniel kids. They are our kids. And I don't regret that. I mean, times it's like, of course, it'd be great to carry on the family name or something, but we don't regret it. We love our lives. But what a journey. 3 years. And Did you have health insurance? I gotta ask. I gotta imagine
Yeah,
that was not cheap to go through all those procedures and all of that, right?
yeah. Luckily, the IUI experience, we had health insurance for the surgery and stuff. The
Okay.
IUI was not wildly expensive. It was
Okay.
maybe $500 per
Okay.
cycle. It's not crazy. Like the IVF that's where you're talking about the tens, 20s, $30,000 kind of
Okay.
situation.
That's
So
all right.
it's kind of the scale, right, of the
All right.
process. And so, yeah, luckily we didn't have to get to that point.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, you have your kid.
Yep.
Everything is going swimmingly,
Yeah.
and I'll let you tell the story. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a couple years after that, right?
Yep.
Your
Yeah.
kid was
So
a few years old.
he was just about 3, and my wife had started reconnecting with her like high school girlfriends, and so it was like this cool experience again for her, and they went up to Chicago or down to Nashville. I don't remember now where they went, but anyway, they went on a road trip from Indy. They probably went to a concert. My wife was a huge fan of the band 311. She saw them 62 times. So, like,
62 times, Alex?
62 times. Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
That's a lot
I
of times.
thought we liked concerts. Holy crap.
Yeah, no, that's just one band 62 times, remember.
Wow. Okay.
So anyway,
All
so
right.
she
Very
she
good.
comes back home, and she's just in a lot of pain. And it was just a weird, like, okay. Like, yeah, you were just in a car ride for a long time. Okay, cool. But after spending like 10 minutes with her after she was back home, I was like, oh no. Like, this is serious. Like, we need to go to the ER. Something's off here. So we drop our son off at grandma's house and head to the hospital. And it's like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. You're in the ER. You're just, that ER experience. You're just waiting to get in, right? Waiting to get in. We eventually get in, and she tells them about the pain she's having and kind of lower abdomen. And the doctor's like, maybe you're constipated, could be a blockage. Like, you know what? Let's just do an X-ray. Why not? Let's go check it out. And so he does an X-ray. They come back an hour later and it's like, hey, something came back abnormal on the X-ray. We'd like to do a CT scan. Okay, sure. So, like, great. Here we go. And it's close to midnight at this point. I have a flight in the morning. I used to travel a lot for work, and so I had like a 5-6 a.m. flight, something like that, something super early. Like, okay, come on, like, what's going on? Let's get this done. Why is this taking so long, right? Because you're just sitting in a hospital room and just like waiting.
Yeah.
2 o'clock or so in the morning, doctor comes in and sits down and says, I don't know how to tell you this, but you have cancer and it is really bad. You need to see an oncologist in the next 48 hours. Here's a referral. There is nothing else I can do for you tonight. Go home.
Oh my God.
And that even just telling the story, it is an out of body experience. I remember sitting there and just like tunnel vision, and I felt like I was looking at the back of my head as this doctor ruined my life, right? Like, he gave you the one sentence that nobody ever wants to hear.
They knew that from a CT scan? He knew
Yeah.
that? And he was... Now, when you tell that, I'm like... He sounds really cold when he says that. I imagine... I don't know how you do that job. I don't know how you tell someone that news, but it sounds... Did it feel... Well, you were out of body at that point, so...
Yeah, and maybe it's a little bit of just like distance now that I'm just like, oh yeah, this is how it went down. I don't remember it being very specifically cold or harsh, just like earth-shattering news, and
Yeah.
that's how we took it. Like, I just, what? And
Wow.
so we get into the car. He tells Amanda that she has cancer in her colon, in her liver, and her lymph nodes. That's basically was the section of her body they scanned. And we get in the car, and Amanda, being Amanda, was like, seriously, I have ass cancer. I couldn't even get a cool cancer. I have ass cancer. Oh my God. And so, it was a funny moment to start what was a horrendous journey from then forward.
Yeah.
So I got home, and I looked at the survival rate, and it was 15% or so in 5 years. So, like, in that moment, I knew this is it. This thing is going to get her statistically at some point. It could be tomorrow. It could be 16 months from then, which is what it was. Could be 10 years. But that was going to be the thing.
How old is she at this point? How old is Amanda?
I'm 34. She was 34. So I was 32 at that point.
You were 32. She was 34. You guys were frickin' kids.
Yep.
With basically a newborn.
Yep.
A little boy, 2-year-old, 3-year-old little boy at home.
Yep. We were, the thing as a parent, right? Like, we were going to go to Disney like 3 weeks later. Take our...
If you don't mind, I mean, I know you've told the story, and you can say pass or whatever.
You're good.
But I would like to. I mean, I'm not. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that. What is the journey like, Alex? That journey of cancer and working with Amanda, working with your kid. What is that journey like? I mean, starting with the next day, they're like, you got to see an oncologist in 48 hours. So are you like? And I've listened to some of your other podcasts. I mean, so I know some of this, but like, what? Yeah. The next morning, you're finding an oncologist? What is that journey like?
Yeah. So it was the very next day was. I slept a lot. Like, it was a lot of like 20-minute naps of just like my brain processing this thing, and from the time we got home at 3 a.m. until that night, it was just a series of a bunch of little tiny naps because I just couldn't process what was happening. At 8 a.m. when the doctor's office when they opened, we called the person that they referred us to, and their front desk was like, "Oh yeah, okay, sure, we'll call you back and get you scheduled." And we just sat there. And sat there, and sat there, and sat there. And nothing. I tried back at 11. I tried back at 2. Oh. And like nothing. Nobody's calling me back. And so finally I just started calling. Like, Indianapolis, we live about a half an hour outside of Indianapolis. It is a big city. There are a lot of hospitals around. So I just started calling. And amazingly, this hospital system, I called, and the lady who I talked to was like, "Yeah, okay, hold on one sec. Okay, our oncologist just moved something around. He can see you at 4. Can you get down here by then?" "Yeah, sure. Let's go." It's 2:30, whatever. We're driving downtown and get to the hospital, and it was just nonstop from there. She was diagnosed on October 16th. Between that and Halloween, she had another confirmation CT scan, a PET scan, a surgery to install what's called a port, which basically allows access directly, so they don't have to like do an IV every time. They can just kind of plug right into a main artery. She had a surgery, And on Halloween, she had her first chemo in 2 weeks. It was the doctor, the oncologist was fantastic. He was definitely foreign. He had this funny accent, which we loved because he was just so positive. And he's like, I fix you. I fix you. No, you don't worry about this. Right. And we're like, okay, cool. And we had no idea what we didn't know, you know? We were like, he's like, I don't remember, maybe 8 rounds, 10 rounds of treatment. And like, that was it. That was what he told us. We'll do this. Done. We got to, I'll hop back to kind of the middle ground, but we got to 10 rounds or whatever that number he gave us was. We thought we were done. He's like, oh no, sorry. That's not, no. In an ideal situation, that's what it would have been. But we didn't know what we didn't know. So she went through this regimen. You do checkpoints every couple cycles. So like every 3 treatments. Okay. She had a pump. So she'd have a chemo on a Tuesday for 8 hours. Then they would attach a pump that would then dump chemo into her body, slow roll chemo into her body for 48 hours. Then on Thursday, we would go back. They would take the pump out or disconnect it. And then she would eventually sleep. Like she would get exhausted. The chemo would hit and she would just kind of be done for 2 days or so.
Wow.
But at every 3 cycles, they rescan you and see how the chemo's working.
Yeah.
Come to find out, this regimen was not working for her. And so then they had to, colorectal cancer has, I think, like 5 or 6 kind of main regimens. And so she tried regimen 1, which works 50% of the time, making up a number here, right? Or 40%, whatever the number is. And then if that doesn't work, you go this route. And then, so we tried that one and that one didn't work. And, each of these chemos come with different side effects. So one of them, her skin was just super dry and itchy. Then another one, she was just cold all of the time. There's, all of these different problems along the way. And so I described it to somebody else that you never knew what the next minute was. You never knew what the next hour was. You never knew, like, the next day. Like, at any moment, something could go completely sideways. At one point, our son got the flu, and then she got the flu as well. And so as you know, chemo kills your immune system. And so, like, we had to go to the hospital for observation for 2 days because she had the flu and that was going to be, problematic for her. And so it was a wild, that whole ride. And then there were a couple pretty innovative things. So Amanda's cancer was right at the exit point of the body. And so part of her problem is she just couldn't pass. She couldn't poop because it was just, the cancer was just closed the passage essentially. And so at some point, to relieve pain, one of the doctors was like, well, I could just drill through the tumor. And they did. And she was able to, like, empty bowels and be able to eat again, right? Because if you can't get it out, you're full all the way. The pipe is only so full, right? And so she started eating less, started losing weight, and there's so many zigs and zags through the process. And through all of that, trying to raise a 3 to 4 year old son, and who wants to hang out with dad, who wants to hang out with mom, who wants to go to the zoo, who wants to do all of those things. That was an insane process too, to have to caregive, parent, because she didn't have the energy to be a primary parent anymore.
So, Alex, right? I mean, and you're describing, I mean, this is affecting both of you, but in terms of you, when this happens, you instantly become the parent.
Yes.
Because now she's got to fight this thing. Yep. So you become the parent, you become the primary caregiver.
Yep.
Are you still working your job? Are you on a leave of absence? How are you doing How the hell are you doing that? How are you doing a job, taking
Yeah.
care of the kid, taking care of her? How does that happen? And how, besides, I, we know your mental health is shit, but I mean, like, how are you keeping sane during all of
Yeah.
this?
So I know it sounds weird, but having a little sense of normalcy with a job was actually very helpful. Um, the thing about, I think, at least her regimens that she had is we would go to the hospital on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They would hook her up. We'd like hang out. They'd hook her up, and then she'd sleep for basically the next 5 hours. So like, I can take my laptop. I can just write some code. I can post a thing. I can design it. Like, she's asleep. There is what else am I going to do? Scroll through Twitter or Facebook, right? Instead, well, she's just sitting there anyway. So, I was very appreciative of my employer. Was just like, give us what you can. Give us 2 hours a day, cool. You give us a full day, great. You know, whatever that is, we'll take it. And so I think that understanding was super helpful. As I mentioned, I used to travel. So I still did some travel.
Really?
But very rarely did I ever complete a full trip. Like, it was one of those, like, oh, I'm going to be gone from Tuesday to Thursday or from Wednesday to Friday. Hey, I need you to come home. I'm going to the hospital. Cool. I am forever Delta loyal. I flew Delta Airlines professionally. Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I would call them and be like, hi, my wife has cancer. I need to get home today. What can you do? They're like, yep, got you. Be at the airport in the next 2 hours, or whatever it is, or 5 hours from now, and no change fee. We got you.
Yeah.
And like, done.
Yeah. We live in Minneapolis, which is a Delta hub.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Is India a Delta hub too?
It is not.
Okay.
We
Yeah,
we
we're
go through
loyal
Atlanta,
to Delta.
Detroit, or Minneapolis, depending on which way we're going.
Yeah. So I don't want this to be an ad for Delta, but I'm right with you, Alex. We loved our Delta.
Yeah.
So so you're going through that. You're trying to work. Work is helping you get through that. Your son, does he understand? He's pretty young. What does he understand of this process?
Mom is sick. Mom is tired. Mom has her cords on because this pump had like big medical tubing, right? And so, no, you can't snuggle in bed tonight with us, or, oh yeah, before bed, we're going to go into mommy and daddy's room and go read a book with mommy, or, those kind of things. Like, let's, instead of sitting on the couch to watch TV, let's just sit upstairs in bed with mom and watch TV together. And if she falls asleep, she falls asleep, right? But we're spending time together with her and just finding little ways to do stuff. We always had grand plans to do things, like we bought tickets to this show or that show, or Mickey is coming in town for some reason, right? And we just got really good at never telling him what we were going to do, because we never knew whether we were going to be able to do it. And so everything was always a surprise, and like, oh yeah, we're going to go to this thing. Cool. Which is fun, I think, for a kid, but I don't know. It was always about doing the next best, like, what's the next step? What's the next one thing to help in our process? At some point, we changed treatments, hospitals. We went and got additional referrals or reviews from other hospitals because, like, the treatment just wasn't going well. And it was at the point of clinical trials. Like, what can we do to save her life? There was one day after the oncologist at the first hospital said, there is nothing else I can do for you. I went through all of our protocols. I've got nothing else. And I called 25 hospitals, just begged for help. It's like, what do I do? How do I help? Can you get me in? What is this process? And at some point during those calls, I got connected with someone at Johns Hopkins, their like clinical trials person. Mm-hmm. And that person, and I don't even remember their name, but I have it in my email somewhere, but anytime we would get a scan, anytime we would get an update, I would email this person and be like, help me understand this. And they would just like, okay, well, check this. They should check this, do this, like, I've mentioned community a couple of times here. And like, that's how I think a lot of our treatment and the process and all of it went through was we had a community. We had friends and family who would send Amanda gifts or cards or do special things for her. We had people, we set up a scholarship in her name. We had people that donated hundreds and hundreds of dollars. It's now like a $40,000 scholarship through her sorority. Like, the community of people who helped us get through the 16-month journey was wildly impressive and humbling. And I don't know, just it's how we were able to get through so much of it is just like people and community and caring and thoughtfulness and being intentional.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't fix things, but people like that person who at least can't fix it for you can say, Alex, here's what's happening. Let me talk you through it. I mean, that's comforting in its own way. So, and I mean, we're just talking through this, and we want to get to Alex running and Catch It for Cancer. Yeah. At some point, Alex, do you guys, is there a point where you go, where where you're just like, we're not getting out of this?
Yeah. We, about November, so about 5 months before she passed, we went through like the last main chemo regimen. It had like a 10% success rate. And so we knew like is the last chance. Right. And she was definitely getting weaker. She was definitely, it was evident. And so, Amanda never wanted to know how bad it was. Like, she had stage 4B, which is the worst of these stages. Like, you cannot get worse. We found out, I hadn't mentioned, but it had actually been in her lungs too. The initial CT had just not actually gotten that, but the PET scan actually figured out it was also in her lungs as well. Oh, so like, it was majorly metastasized by the time they found it. And so like, I would have sidebar conversations with her oncologist that at the second hospital that we went to, who was just absolutely phenomenal. I cannot praise his care, his bedside manner, his concern, his like primary nurse that worked with him and everything. Like, they helped us get through it in an amazing way. Like, just, we never felt terrible about anything. We could always ask questions. We could always get honest answers. And so he and I'd have some sidebar conversations, and ultimately we had a networking connection of mine got us access to MD Anderson, which is like the #1 cancer hospital in the country, and was able to get us an appointment very quickly. And we were able to get on a clinical trial. And I, came back and emailed him and told him about it. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I can give you that drug here, but I just, it's not good. Like, Alex, I think you need to be prepared. Like, this is going to happen soon. And so she had a couple of hospital stays between November and January. They actually stopped chemo in November so that, like, quality of life, like, she needed a blood transfusion at some point. Like, she was not in a good spot. And so a couple of times she was in the hospital. And the last main time, our oncologist came and told her it was time to go on to hospice. And it was, unfortunately, our 10th anniversary was the day that happened. And, that's just, at 34 years old, like, that's not, you don't expect to have that conversation, No. And, hospice is one that you could come on and go off. And like, you don't have to, hospice doesn't necessarily mean it's the end. Like, there are people who come on and off of it. So Amanda had this big hope, like, this is nothing, no big deal. And then she would, she had plans to go to see 311 on their cruise. She had gone to 5 of their cruises.
You're kidding.
Oh, and I'm totally serious. And this hospice company, you can actually work with them to help set up vacations, and they can help set up care and all of this. And so the hospice company was working with the cruise company about how she'd be able to go and get care if she needed it on the boat and like all of this. And it was going to be a whole ordeal, and she wanted to, just wanted to do all of these things, right? And we started talking about what the final service would be, like all of that, and then the next day she was unconscious. Like, she was unconscious for basically 2 days. There was one point, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 hours before she passed, that she woke up and was lucid, and her and I had just a one-on-one conversation, just talking about our lives and talking about just all of the joy, right? For 10 years. And then that was it. And I had her record a video of telling our son she loved him, just because that was it. Like, I knew. And so,
Jesus, Alex, I'm so sorry. I've heard you tell this story before, but it's just
good. It's hard. Like,
it is.
I
mean, in some way, and I didn't mean this to go on this long, but I want you to tell your story. I think it's a powerful story, and we'll get to the other side of it, which is transformational, what happens after that. But it's a powerful story. She was lucid that moment. She was lucid, and you had that time. Aren't you grateful for that?
The only thing I'm not grateful for is not recording it, because I don't feel like now 6 years later, I don't remember all of the things. I just remember how amazing it was to have had that conversation.
But you remember it up here.
Yeah.
I'm going to get choked up here too. When my mom passed away, she lived in Arizona, and I went down there, and I had a sister down there, and they'd all been visiting her, and she was in hospice. And I got down there that night, and I went to visit her, and we chatted a little bit, and she's like, "You got a long flight, you're tired, go get some rest." And I was staying at a hotel right next to hospice, and came the next morning, and she was unconscious.
Yeah.
And I think it was later that day or the next day, kind of like you, there was about 3 minutes where she was awake. She grabbed my hand, and she said, "I waited for you." And that was the last words she said. God. But I wouldn't trade. It was hard, but I wouldn't trade those moments of being by her side, just because she was there for me my whole life. Least I can do is be next to her. Okay, so we're all crying now.
Oh, God.
I know you've told the story 1,000 times. I don't know how you keep telling it, but okay. So, Alex, Amanda passes, and then what happens? You, like you said, you're not athletic. You're probably eating great during all of this, right? You're eating really well, stayed thin and trim. What happens? Now you definitely are a single parent.
Yep.
Amanda has passed. Yep. At some point after that, something changes. Tell us that story. Let's tell the next story, Alex.
Yeah. So obviously I had to tell my son, like, Mom died, and that was just a soul crushing moment. Like, my son has never broken a bone, but it was the cry you would anticipate, like a broken bone, right? And then I don't know, like, at his age, it was one of those like, okay, cool, let's go play. And then like 20 minutes later, I have a question. And then a day later, I have a question, right? And
Yeah.
you know, after sitting and that experience, you know, I went back to work 2 or 3 days later because I just needed my life not to be cancer anymore. I needed something normal. I needed something regular. I needed my friends to stop looking at me like my wife had just died. Like, bust my chops, right? Like, just
Yeah.
like I would
Something.
stop pitying me. I understand this is horrible, and I say all of that because you know, for much of my adult life, I've really struggled with my weight. That has been a huge fluctuation. You know, I told the story on the marathon podcast you mentioned. Like, I just reserved myself. Like, I was the guy that was going to gain 10 pounds every year, and like that was just going to be my life, and like so be it. And all of the wallowing and all the pity and all of the grief, I realized pretty quickly that my son should not lose another parent because I couldn't take care of myself. And so I describe it a lot as I've never moved on. I've moved forward. And I've looked at a lot of how do I take that first step, you know, and especially now in a running journey, that metaphor makes a lot of sense. But you know, it started about 4 months after she passed. I went to a gym. One of my buddies was going there, and it was like this crazy 20-minute workout once a week. I was like, cool. I can find 20 minutes as a single parent, as a widowed parent for myself. Because for the last 15 years of my life, like I'd been focused on literally everybody else. My career, my late wife at this point, my son, like it was never about me taking some time for me. And so I did this and like going to the gym once a week, 20 minutes. Cool. This is awesome. Like, I lost like 30 pounds over the course of like a year, and it was fantastic. Like I was getting stronger. I could pick up my son. I wouldn't be exhausted, right? He could climb on me and I'd be his jungle gym, and like all the amazing like dad things, right? You want is I was able to have and keep. And then this small little like global event happens where everybody, you know, has to wear masks and stay inside, and people are dying, and you know, just this little tiny blip on the radar. And I stopped going to the gym. He had his daycare had a case very, very early on. And so I pulled him out. And so for the next 100 or so days, it was him and I basically at our house by ourselves. We would social distance with our neighbors a little bit, right? But you know, I couldn't go to the gym. We were doing some virtual workouts. It wasn't the same. And but ultimately I was like, hey, I need to do something different. I need to have some time to myself. And so, as I mentioned, I'm from Indianapolis. We have a big IndyCar race, the Indianapolis 500.
Oh yes, I know it well.
Oh, well, good.
I'm a fan.
I love it. Well, they do this big thing here. It's the biggest half marathon in Indianapolis called the Indy Mini. They weren't able to do it that year, and they came up with this idea of a virtual challenge. And so they did a virtual 500-mile challenge. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to be intentional. I'm going to sign up for this thing, and I am going to commit myself to walking 500 miles.
And how long, Alex, do you have to walk 500 miles?
Basically till the end of the year. It's July 3rd when I sign up. And you have until the end of the year.
You've got some time. You gotta walk every day. All right.
Yeah. So I started walking, you know, walk a mile, walk 2 miles, walk 3 miles, right?
Yeah.
We're working from home. I'd spend a lot of time in meetings. And so I started adjusting my meetings to be phone calls. And so I would grab my headphones and I would go walk for 2 hours
There you go.
and do callbacks, do meetings, do check-ins with my team, right? Like I just condensed all of my phone calls into a small block and then was able to sit at the computer and do things for the rest of the day.
Wow.
I try to be very thoughtful and intentional about my, how I do things, how I recognize momentous occasions in my life and those kind of things. And so I realized, like, hold on, do the math, carry the 6. I could finish this on my birthday. I need to walk 8 miles for the next 4 weeks every day, but I could finish this on my birthday.
8 miles a day? Oh my God.
Yeah,
okay.
it was insane. But I did it.
Wow.
So I walked 500 miles in 102 days. And during that process, I lost like another 50 pounds. Just getting out and walking,
Please tell me you never sang the song once, right?
I didn't. Okay. And now when I retell the story, it's already playing in my head.
As you're telling I walked 500 miles, of course we're all going, and I would, anyways. So you did it by your birthday, you did 500 miles. Wow.
500 miles.
Okay.
And so and through those 100 days, 102 days, it wasn't every single day, right? Some days were 2 miles, some days were 5 miles, some days were 8 miles, etc. But, I was like, okay, cool, this is what I'm going to do. And then I said, well, if I can do this, and as an aside, a lot of those miles were at a local park. And so I was hiking. That was kind of how, our neighborhood does not have a lot of shade, not a lot of, it's very uninteresting. But there's a park 10 minutes down the road, pretty large state park. And so I went and did that and hiked there. Then I was like, well, maybe I can run. This is wild. And so I started my running journey. I know we talked about me being a road runner now, but I started my running journey on trails.
Guys, he started on the trails. He's one of us.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you start on the trail, start running, jogging, hiking.
Yep. So there was another Under Armour had a 100-mile challenge, and I said, I'm going to do 100 miles over the course of a month, and consistent kind of 5K a day kind of thing. And I ran 100 miles, and that was something 2019 Alex would never have done. I never would have gotten off that couch. I could have sat and wallowed in all of that and just never made a decision to invest in me. I realized somewhere along the way, though, like, I was a better parent. I was a better employee. I was more creative. I was just a better person when I was out doing something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that is awesome. So when do you do your first 5K race? Is it shortly after you start running on the trails and doing the Under Armour challenge? Is that when you start doing your first 5K race?
Yeah, it was probably 3 or 4 months after that. There's a run series here because it was winter. I did that 100 miles in like late November, early December. Okay. There aren't a lot of 5Ks in Indianapolis in January and February. And so whenever it started, though, I remember how like anxious I was because I'd never like seriously run a race before. And I was focused on speed a lot. Like I don't have that speed now as a marathoner. My 5K speed is nowhere near the same. I've run very differently now. But like I was excited. I was amped. Like I was in the A corral for one race. It was small enough, right? But there were like 12 of us, so it's not like a big deal. But I was like, man, oh my gosh, this is so good. Yeah. And I did it, and I was so excited, and I went out way too fast, and then ended up walking part of the 5K because I was just so exhausted. I'm like, what are you doing, you dummy? And yeah. But through the process, though, like I started adding more and more miles. Like, hey, if I can run a 5K, can I run a 10K? If I can run a 10K, can I run 10 miles, right? And eventually, about a week before the second anniversary of Amanda's passing, I had just run 10 miles and felt good. Like I felt like this was a trail run as well. I
Okay.
felt good. And I was
Yep.
like, I could do the half marathon. What? That's insane. And so again, trying to be intentional, I decided on February 5th, that would be the day that I would run a half marathon.
Okay.
And so it was freezing cold. There was an ice storm the night before, so there was ice all over the road. I was running, there were no cars out, right? So I was running legitimately in the middle of the street, not on the sidewalks, like just avoiding ice. And I ran a half marathon in like my neighborhood and the two connecting neighborhoods. February 5th, 2021.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And do you still remember? I mean, I don't care about how long it takes, but I remember how long my first half marathon. I remember what my pace was. Do you remember
Yeah.
how quick you
Yeah,
were?
it was about 2.5 hours or
Yep.
so.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. It was in that range, like
Yeah.
220 to 240, somewhere in
Pretty good
there.
on the ice. That's pretty good on the
Yeah.
ice.
Well, you find enough dry spots that,
Yep.
iceless spots.
So this is February of 2021. You do your
Yep.
first half marathon, and then
Yep.
are you immediately like, ah, shit, that was easy. I'm doing a full marathon. When am I doing the Indy Marathon? When does that transition happen where you do your first marathon? And I think it is probably the Indy Marathon. Is that your first
It
one?
is.
Okay.
Yep, it was. I did a lot of other running in that time, but yeah, in the back of my mind, it was always just like, well, I can do a half marathon, and like, I did the Indy Mini virtually, and I had my PR. Still stands to this day. I don't know that I'm ever going to get back to that speed, but as calendar to 22 started, it flipped, and I was just like, I feel like I could do more. So I did the Indy Mini in person in
Okay.
22, and I was like, I could do this. I could go and do the Indy Monumental Marathon that fall. So it's November 2022. Indy Mini is in May, and so I've got time. I can do this. And so I start training, and I start packing on miles. I was using like a Peloton training program, marathon training program, which was kind of nice. So like doing some strength workouts, doing some running, cool. And then I'm at my first like super long run, half marathon was like that day. And I get to mile 10 or so, and I hear a pop in my body, in my leg. And I was like,
What?
oh, that's not good. Not good at all. And I called my now fiance, girlfriend at the time. I need you to come pick me up. I cannot make it home.
Oh my God.
And so I'm just like, a couple miles away from the house. I get home and I'm just like babying this thing. Like, I don't know what to do. It is just in pain. I don't anything more than like 2 miles. Like, I'm in kind of excruciating pain. I don't know what's going on. So I just like ice it and I stop running for like 45 days. I like to do during training cycles a race in person. I'm a like by myself runner typically.
Yeah.
So I like to kind of practice the race day experience, if you will.
Okay.
And so I do a half marathon. I'm struggling. I got a knee brace on. It's like much slower time. I finish, and I tell myself, if I can finish this, like I can do the marathon. Blah. So I get to the marathon, and it is a horrible day. It's raining. It's windy. My blue shoes are black, just from how wet they are before we even get going. It's freezing cold, and I'm in pain like most of the race. I have a pretty solid first half, but around mile 10 I start getting like very hungry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, I've got a protein bar. And so I eat that, but I don't know, it didn't get me what I needed. I get to the halfway mark and I realize every step I have taken is the longest I've ever run in my life. Because I've never gone more than a half marathon. I never got to a 20-mile
So you never did your
cycle.
20-mile run.
No.
You stopped at a half marathon because of injury. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like the back half was just not good for me. Like I was walking a bunch, right? I at some point I realized though, I just need to finish the thing. I don't care what the time is. Like I was originally on pace for like a 4-hour something marathon, maybe.
Wow.
Like I had a pretty good at this point, pretty good speed. Again, do not have that speed anymore.
I never had it, so.
Yeah. I don't know. So I finish in like 5 hours and 26 minutes, but I crossed the finish line, and like that. Again, 2019 Alex would never have done that.
Yeah. When you cross that finish line, are you pretty emotional? Is your son there?
Yes. Yeah. I posted a video.
What was that like? I know you weren't fast. You were in pain. Yeah. What was the emotions like when you crossed that first marathon finish line?
Yeah. So at mile 17, and then I'll come back to the finish line. Okay. At mile 17, my fiance and my son met up with me a couple of times, like the half at 17, maybe like 21 or something. At 17, I like waved by him and ran past, and I turned around and I went and gave him the biggest hug because it was just what I needed in that moment of just, I posted on my Instagram a couple days ago because Indy Monumental was this past weekend, and this was kind of a memory of that. And when we got to the finish line, when I was coming around the last turn, you just hear, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy." And it was everything I needed to get me through the last 150 meters of just the pride of my son knowing that Dad has done this thing. He's invested in himself. He has put the hours in, and he's doing something he never thought possible.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It filled my heart, and it was amazing. And I will never, I think, get that same experience, right, of a 6-year-old boy just being proud of his dad.
Oh, that is so amazing. That is awesome. So you get done with your first marathon, 2022, November, Indianapolis. My God, it's got to be cold. Of course it's cold. I'm sitting here in Minneapolis, and it was 20 degrees yesterday.
Oh.
And you immediately go, what do you go? I'm done with marathons, or this is the greatest thing ever. I'm going to run all the world majors. What happens after that first marathon in terms of your running career?
Yeah. So immediately I meet up with my fiance and my son, and she goes, "Well, now you know what it was like for next time." And I was like, "Next time? Next time? You're nuts. Like, I'm never doing that again. That was horrendous. I hated it, right? Like, I just, And so I, like, shoved 3 slices of pizza. Indy gives out free slices of Domino's pizza afterwards. So, like, nommed those down because I didn't know how to fuel myself. I'd never run that long, right? And so I just missed all of that part of training. And so she likes to retell the story it took about 6 days. And I was like, well, what if I ran the New York City Marathon? And there's these 6 world majors, and like we could like go run them all.
So let me get this straight. 6 days later, you go from never again. 6 days later, you're like, I'm going to frickin' run New York, and I'm going to run all the world majors.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then
awesome.
I upped the ante because I was like, again, I like to do things intentionally.
Yeah.
I'm going to run the 3 U.S. majors before I turn 40. Mind you, I am 38 at this point, and New York has already happened.
And folks, so that's for Madonna in Manhattan, my sister in Manhattan. She may not know all these. I don't know if you ever listen to the Smartless podcast. By the way, yeah. My wife and I are flying out to LA to see it live at the Hollywood Bowl this weekend. We are so excited.
I want to hear about it afterward.
I will message you about it.
Please do.
So he has Tracy, Wisconsin. I have Madonna in Manhattan. For Madonna in Manhattan, the 3 U.S. majors are the New York City Marathon, the Boston Marathon, and the Chicago Marathon.
Correct.
To get into Boston, you have to qualify with a very fast time or run for charity. To get into New York is a lottery, right?
Or charity. There is
charity. Okay.
Yeah.
How about Chicago? Is that one a charity, or can you just run that one?
Yeah, you can. Chicago's a lot easier to get into.
Okay.
I have realized in my running journey that this is like a thing I could just keep doing, or I could be intentional and I could take Amanda's legacy. I could make an impact on the world. I could change some lives. And so I knew, side note, there is no way I'm getting into Boston. At my age, it was a 6:52 pace for a full marathon. It's a 3-hour marathon, and I lulled real hard.
Minutes per mile pace, which I couldn't do if I was shot out of a frickin' cannon downhill.
Right, I know.
So you are already thinking, I'm going to do these 3 before I turn 40, which is, by the way, in less than 2 years. And New York's just happened. And by the way, one I can't get into because it's too fast. So is that when you come up with the idea right then and there for, I'll let you take it from there. Is that when you come up with the idea?
Yeah, the idea actually came about 6 months ago. So I go through this, my journey for the 3 U.S. majors as a charity runner. I talked about on the Marathon podcast, again, we mentioned that after 2 weeks of Amanda's treatment, I got a bill for $400,000. And I just, I had no idea what to do with that. Again, parent, caregiver, and now financial something. I don't know how we deal with this. We had really good insurance, and it was $400,000. And so, in my professional career, I used to help manage a relationship with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis. They do a ton of pediatric cancer research and treatments for the worst cases in the world. And their big thing is they make sure that no family ever receives a bill. Nothing. Not a dime for treatment, housing, travel, food, nothing. And that burden of that $400,000 bill added so much weight to my shoulders, my back, my knees, right? Every part of my body, my brain. And not having that bill and having your child going through cancer treatment is just, it seemed like an immediate match for me. And so I applied with New York to work with St. Jude. They was $6,500 or $6,000 for New York commitment. When you commit as a charity runner, you give them your credit card, and if you raise $1, they will charge your credit card for $5,999. Right. So whatever I'm committing to, here's my card, I'm in.
There we go. Yeah.
So I knew that I had to fundraise this money. I start doing it. I raised $3,000 in the first month, which is amazing. I could not believe the outpouring of support, and it's fantastic. I get through New York. I fundraise that. Applications for Boston open up. St. Jude doesn't have any bibs at all for Boston. At this point, John Hancock used to be the sponsor, and now they have they switched to Bank of America, and so all the charities had to renew themselves. So St. Jude did not get any bibs allocated to them. So I'm okay, I want to do this. I've almost, I don't remember if I had done New York yet when I applied. Regardless, I applied to 5 different charities. I did 3 different interviews. I did 2 second interviews, and eventually I got a Facebook ad I applied and I got in. I told my story through the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. Okay. They're like a huge charity team for Boston, like 500 bibs or something, which is insane.
Wow.
They raise $20 million, I think, something insane by themselves for the marathon for Boston. And so I amazingly raised $21,000 for Dana-Farber, which blew my mind. The company I worked for, I was talking to the owner about my journey, and he said, if you raise the money, I will match that.
No
so
way.
I'm like panicked. Like, how am I going to pay $10,000 for this thing? Like, if I don't raise this money, I don't have that kind of money.
Right.
And he's like, if you get there, I'll match it. And like, that was just a spark that, helped me get there very easily. Yeah. And then Chicago again, it's a much smaller commitment. It's like $3,000. Fine. Okay. We'll do it. I get there and I do that. Well, now I missed it by one day, by the way. I was 40 and 1 day old. My birthday was on Saturday. Yeah, it's close enough. It was good enough for me. It was birthday weekend. It counts.
Close enough. Yeah.
So then it's time for the international. So I apply through several charities again. I get in with St. Jude. And all of a sudden, my fundraising is just not doing what I expected it to do, right? I just raised $30-some-odd thousand in 12 months. My people are tapped out. Like, I have asked and asked and asked, and everybody is tired of me asking for money, right? Sure. And so the summer before, my fiance and I had gone to our town 4th of July parade, and it was raining. And it was just gross. And we swore somebody was handing out ketchup packets. We were like, that'd be really funny. Like, who hands out ketchup packets? Okay. It was Sweet Tarts, but it just kind of looked like ketchup packets. Yeah. And so we just sit on that idea, like, haha, that'd be really funny. Yeah. And so this was mid-June of this year. I look up what it cost to enter the parade, and the answer was a $50 donation. That was it.
Great.
Literally anybody could fill out an application, make a $50 donation, and you're in.
Great.
And so I'm like, okay, cool. Like, let's just hand out some ketchup packets. Like, this will be funny. We're like, whatever, I'm mowing the lawn and just trying to, how can I make something relevant out of this? Like, how can I make ketchup a thing that can help me fundraise? And I'm mowing and I'm mowing and I'm mowing, and catch up to cancer. And I stop the mower and run inside, and I say to Lindsay, catch up to cancer. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, catch up to cancer. God. And she it clicks. And
so good.
I was off on this crazy journey. I hate ketchup. I think it's disgusting. But I hate cancer more. And so now this has become my mission, is to use ketchup in funny, creative ways. I hate it. I will send food back if there is ketchup on the thing, right? Wow. I'm out.
Wow.
And
true Chicago boy, right?
That's right. only
ketchup
mustard
on my hot dog. Come on.
That's right. And so I start this Instagram account. I create a web page. I buy 5,000 packets of ketchup, which you can bulk order for like $20. I was like, all right, cool. I can do this. And we buy some cheap aprons. My fiance loves using her Cricut. So we screen prints, cut whatever the right term for a Cricut is. And we make little aprons, and we hand out 5,000 ketchup packets at our July 4th parade this year. And that day I raised $1,100.
Oh, wow.
And it was it was amazing. This ridiculous idea of let's catch up to cancer. Let's catch up to cancer together. I hate ketchup, but I hate cancer more. It started clicking. And now, over the last 6 months or so, I have built this amazing community of runners, of people, of supporters who just understand that like cancer impacts so much of us, so many of us as patients, as caregivers, as family members, as children, right? We need to figure out how to beat this thing. And my goal is to raise $26,200 for St. Jude to run Berlin, London, and Tokyo.
Okay.
I raised, as I was crossing the finish line, I hit that 6,200 mark for Berlin.
Okay.
And now I'm off on my London journey. I've got a spot for April, this coming April for London, and committed to 10,000 there. And I've got my eyes on 27 for Tokyo as well.
Okay, so you've done Berlin.
I did.
You have now. I'm not savvy like you, but they've added a 7th, right?
They did.
Is that
Sydney.
Are you Sydney? Right? Are you?
Yep.
Is Sydney gonna?
Yeah. So
you're gonna do the 6 original. You're gonna start with those and then think
the
about
OGs.
it?
Yeah.
Okay,
I need, my body needs a break. It will have been 6 marathons in like 3.5 years, and all in since July 3rd, 2020. I have done more than 4,200 intentional miles on my feet, running, hiking, walking, something. And my body's beat. So after Tokyo, I'm going to put my Brooks up and just take a little break.
You're not going to go Dean Karnazes and do a marathon every day in every state for 50
Hard
days.
out.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. So you did Berlin. And I'm going to have a link to Catch It for Cancer. I'm going to put a donation out there for you too.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I just think it's wonderful. When people go out there, Alex, do they donate? Does that go to St. Jude, or does that go to help support you in your races for London and Tokyo?
Yeah, great question. It's the catchuptocancer.com sends you, you go to the webpage, click the donate button. It goes directly to St. Jude.
Okay.
It is their page, payment processing, all the stuff goes through St. Jude, and the funding for them is every dollar makes a difference, right? You're paying for supplies for the hospital or for research or whatever they're using the funds for, but every individual dollar makes an impact, 5, 25, 50, 100, whatever. On the Catch Up to Cancer site, I also have kind of a listing of here's what $5 would do, here's what $100 would do, here's what, whatever the dollar amounts are. So you can at least understand what an impact of X dollars would actually be.
That's awesome. Yeah, whoever made your website, boy, they knew what they were doing. Pretty good at it. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So how do people? So okay, I'm going to do that. But how do people support you for your charity bibs for Tokyo and London? Because you're doing London this coming April, right?
Correct.
How do we help so your credit card doesn't get charged for $6,000, $10,000?
Yeah, it's donating at catchuptocancer.com. Again, that goes directly to St. Jude. That's the fundraising link is tied directly to my...
It's tied to your bib?
Yes.
Got it. Perfect.
Yep.
So you're doing St. Jude for both of those races?
Correct.
Yeah. Great.
Correct.
All right. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. So London in April, and when is Tokyo?
Tokyo is a late February, early March race. My goal is for 27 for
2027. Okay.
Yep.
And then let's talk, Alex. What happens after you do Tokyo? What is the future goals for running, for marathons? Are you retiring? Are you?
Yeah. I think my marathon journey is probably done for a bit. I think the half is a really good running distance for me, right? I don't hate myself. I don't have to put all of the insane amount of hours into training, right? I've referenced a couple times, I'm a back of the pack runner now. As a marathoner, I am in the Berlin was 6 hours and 24 minutes, I think, for me. I had a horrendous race.
He's one of us, guys. He's one of us, back of the pack.
Back of the pack. And so, doing a 20-mile training run, that's 4+ hours that I'm out training. Yep. And, the thing I've realized, again, in my journey of being a single dad, finding love again, all of that is I don't want to miss the things. I don't want to miss the choir concert. I don't want to miss the, whatever the things are. And so those runs typically start at like 3:00 in the morning for me. And then I'm just like, I'm spent for the day. And I would like to be able to run for an hour, hour and a half, and like go have fun for the rest of the day and not worry about any of that stuff.
Yeah. Time is precious. Time is a commodity. And the running is great. Keeps you in shape, keeps you healthy for your kid and your fiance. But, 20-mile runs, that's a different story. So I get it. So, well, if you ever want to do trail races, I'll hook you up for some of those. Some of those, though they can be long, you don't have to do long ones. They're easier on your knees. You all are nuts. Dude, I've got some really nuts friends. I know you've listened to a couple of podcasts. If you get the chance, there's one I did with a gentleman named David Shannon. And he is local to Minneapolis. He runs the Ultra Fans 12 and 24-hour events. Alex, he is 67.
Whoa.
He just completed a 150-mile relay race out in Arizona. And his relay team is like John Taylor. All these people are in their 60s. They took first in their age group. Of course, they crushed it. He's done 70 plus marathons. I forget. He's a real numbers guy. Insane. So I'm just telling you, take a break, relax, but no, it'll be there for you.
Yep.
You don't have to be fast to do these crazy things, but time is precious. Spend time with your kid and your fiance.
Yeah.
Your fiance, I mean, I know we've talked so much time and I don't want to take up your whole night, but you met. The story of how you met, can you just tell it real quickly? I've heard it on your other podcast. It's a sweet story, and I'm just so tickled for you that you found love again. And I don't know if Amanda was looking down, looking out for you, but just tell that story real quickly of how you met your fiance. If you get time.
Very quickly. We went to the zoo on a fall break. Again, height of the pandemic, so we're wearing masks. But we needed to get out of the house, and so. We go, and my son walks up to this little girl at the snake exhibit, and the two of them look at each other and just decide they're going to be best friends. And so I'm looking around like, what's going on? Who is this kid? And she is looking around, what's going on? Who is this kid? She asks her daughter, hey, what's your friend's name? She's like, I don't know. Okay, where do you know him from? Here. What do you mean? I just met him there. And eventually Lindsay introduces herself and, this is me, this is my daughter, and, this is me and this is my son, and okay, cool. And the kids want to go look at the elephants together. Is that cool with you? Again, masks on, right? Yeah, sure, whatever. And we get to talking a little bit, and, in the back of my mind, was like, don't screw this up. And hey, so can I get your number? And I got her number. We ended up meeting up later, running into each other at the zoo and hanging out for a little bit more. And then it starts downpouring, and we were under this awning and talked for an hour while the kids just ran around. It's Halloween time, right? So there's all the Zubu type stuff. And and the girls came over for a play date 2 or 3 days later, and the four of us were sitting on the couch, and I was reading the kids a story, and I just looked around and I was like, this is it. This is family. Knew. This is
what a gift.
She's it.
What an absolute, don't you think, just an absolute gift. I'm so tickled for you. I know.
Thank you.
I did an interview with Joe Harden of the Everyday Podcast Network, and he's been through sobriety now, but when he was going through his darkest time, he and his wife split up, and he married somebody else, and he rekindled with his wife. And it's another sweet story where you just go, you're just so happy that you found it again. So I'm super excited for you, Alex. I know I took a ton of your time tonight. I'm going to close with a few things I like to close with. Of all the marathons you've done, do you have a dream one? Is it Tokyo or London, or which is your favorite that you've done of all the marathons you've done so far? And it can be one you haven't done yet.
Yeah. I as excited as I am about London and Tokyo, New York's experience, like race day experience on the course, was insanely amazing. Boston has a fantastic like weekend experience because the whole city of Boston's like in for race weekend. In New York, it's just like a thing that happens, but when you turn into Manhattan on First Avenue and you're running up, First Avenue, and it is crowds for 10 people deep for 6 miles of just like cheering, excitement, joy. It will always be my favorite race, I think.
That is about the third time I've heard that. That race is just incredible.
It's wild.
Do you listen to podcasts? Do you listen to a lot of running What's something you listen to that's not sports or running related as a podcast or music? I guess it can be music too.
Yeah. My podcast, I do Smartless. You've talked about that today. There's a comedian, named Joe Gatto. He was from Impractical Jokers. He and one of his buddies have a pod called Two Cool Moms. And it's just basically they love their mothers and how just kind and thoughtful they were, and so like they tell stories and jokes and like help people. And when Lindsay and I have a date night, like we listen to the Mommies podcast on the regular. So
nice, love it.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I ask people, Alex, always is give me 5 pieces of gear, or it could be a dog, it could be headphones that you like to have with you when you're out for a training run or a marathon. Yeah. Give me 5 things that you like to have when you're out for a run.
Yep. So I run with my Shocks, the like over ear runs. Those are good headphones. My shoes. I know the last couple episodes I listened to, shoes was the first thing people went. So I run in Brooks glycerins.
I think you might be my first guy. Brooks person. Brooks glycerins, huh?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, they're
very
nice.
Good. Okay.
Let's see. So that's 2. I always have a running belt. Keep my phone. Keep just random stuff like that.
Okay.
I
hat. Sunglasses. Yep. What's
yeah, I'm finished with that one.
Okay, all right. I don't want to.
No, you're good. The snack, the like fuel. I do honey stinger like Stroop waffles. Those are kind of my.
Oh, you like
now.
Those? Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, like the chocolate ones are my kind of standard.
Okay. Got it. Very good.
And then on race day, I always wear a headband. I wear bright colors, so I'm easily found. There's a race series here in Indy called Run 317, 317 being the area code of Indianapolis. Yeah. And so like bright green Run 317, and Lindsay can always find me in a crowd because
love it.
Just looking for the headband.
When I run on the treadmill at home and sometimes outside, I love a headband. As long as it's not too sunny because I get sunburned, but I always have trouble with like modern ones. They're too tight on my head. Do you have a special brand, or what brand of head, or is it just whatever? Yeah.
It's whatever this race series had. Okay. It's very thin material, but I don't know. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I got this old Nike one that I think it might be, I don't know, I think it's Nike, that it's just perfect. It just stretches, and I bought new ones and I'm like, these are too tight. I'm getting a headache, so.
That's not good.
That's not good. Well, Alex, this has been awesome. I'm going to have a link to Catch Up for Cancer. Cool. I'm going to encourage my 55 loyal listeners to go out there, support Alex, support St. Jude. I'm going to be watching and rooting for you at London and then at Tokyo. So this has been awesome. And I'll have to ping you after the Smartless concert.
Yeah, please do.
Oh my God. We were supposed to go when it was in Brooklyn. And our dog ended up passing away, and so we were just we just ended up not going with too much other stuff to worry about. But it's going to be exciting. All right, Alex, awesome. Take care, and thanks for joining me.
Of course, glad to be here.
Alex, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for sharing your story, both the pain and the hope. And thank you for all you're doing to help fight cancer. I will, of course, have the link to Alex's charity Catch Up for Cancer in the show notes. I hope you get a chance to visit his page and donate if you can, or wish him well on his journey of completing the 6 world majors and catching up to cancer. Well, that's it for this time. Until next time, cheers and take care of yourselves. Keep running, keep moving forward. Life is precious and precarious. Let's get the most and do the most that we can. Let's keep pushing forward to cross that finish line.